Okay, so this is a passage. Let's just go through it quickly. Ochre find reveals ancient knowledge of chemistry. The oldest ochre processing toolkits and workshop ever found have been unearthed, indicated that as far as back as 1,000 years ago, humans had an understanding of chemistry. South Africa's Blombos Cave lies within a limestone cliff on the southern Cape Coast, 300 kilometers east of Cape Town. It's known for its 75,000-year-old rich deposits of artifacts such as beads, bone tools, and ochre engravings. Some engravings date as far back as 100,000 years. Archaeologist Christopher S. Henselwood from the University of Witwater, Witwatersrand in Johannesburg and University of Bergen, Norway, has been excavating at the site since 1992 and has reported the discovery of a mixture rich in ochre, stored in two abalone shells. It dates back to the Middle Stone Age, 100,000 years ago. Ochre is a term used to describe a piece of earth or rock containing red or yellow oxide or hydroxides of iron. It can be used to make pigments or paints, ranging from golden yellow and light yellow brown to a rich red. Its use spans the history of humans, from those living more than 200,000 years ago to modern indigenous communities. Made from an array of materials, this mixture, which could have functioned as wall object in skin decoration or skin protection, acting in a similar way to the modern day sunscreen, indicates the early developments that occurred in the people who originally used the site. Judging from the complexity of the material that has been collected from different parts of the landscape and brought to the site, they, the people, must have had an elementary knowledge of chemistry to be able to combine these materials to produce this form. It is not a straightforward process, said Henselwood. Okay, so I read this passage aloud. Generally, when you're going to read it quietly, your reading is going to be more faster and quicker because in the IELTS exam, they're going to make you practice. We're going to practice also skim reading, going through the passage quickly, and within the time frame we have to answer our questions. So I just read it aloud, so just as an initial maybe reading video, but let's see later on what we will do. So over here is just helping you that get familiar with the passage, how to locate quickly keywords or key numbers in the questions and find them in the passage. So like we see 75,000 over here, and quickly just go and you find 75,000-year-old rich deposits over here. At the next location you see 100,000 over here, and you can find it at two locations over here. One, you can find it over here years ago, and it goes date as back as 100,000 years. So you can also find the 200,000 over here, and artifacts and ochre over here and at other places, and are the word as artifacts over here. So this is just simply a short step in helping you, in assisting you basically to how to quickly get to the point in the passage where you need to reach in order to answer your question. Okay, so let's just go ahead. Okay, using words from the passage. Now, it's telling us tip. It also told us this tip before, which is an important tip because they deduct marks if one doesn't follow this tip, which is that one cannot write more than, if it says don't write no more than 2 words, then your answer should be in 2 words. Like for example, if it's black, white, so write black, comma, white, and don't write black and white. Okay, so this is just how to answer. It's a tip which is important because if you're not going to answer correctly, they're going to deduct your marks. And in other the sections like the writing section and the speaking section, you're also going to find out there are going to be many tricks within the IELTS exam that if you're not going to follow, if you're not going to be familiarize yourself with these tips and tricks at the time when you will give the exam, you will waste your time, and as a result, your marks will be deducted. Okay, that's why it's really important to know the structure of the exam. Okay, let's continue. Now, these are some questions you see over here. Okay, so these are 3 questions. So uh, it's telling you how to go to um, your how to take out, or how to find which thing is being asked in the question, which is the major or the most important and significant thing being asked in the question, and go back into the passage and search for the answer quickly. Okay, so like, let's see question number 1. It's saying which of the artifacts mentioned are the oldest. So you see over here that they have written artifacts in bold, and so we're talking about artifacts over here, and the question is related to artifacts. And the second thing it's asking about artifacts which are the oldest artifacts. So the main thing is artifacts, and the other thing that is related to it is how which is the oldest artifact. Okay, so if you go to the second question, you will find that uh, they have made the material Hazelwood bold because it's majorly the subject is talking about Hazelwood. And what is it asking you about Hazelwood? It's asking you when was it made. Okay, so it has underlined. So keep 2 things in mind. Primarily keep the subject, like in the first question, keep artifacts in mind. The second thing, keep in mind which artifacts are the oldest. So this will help you to quickly analyze what the question is asking, and just go and to the passage and find your answer. The second, Hazelwood, and when was it originally made. The third one, what 2 common materials did ancient humans use to obtain their ochre? So we're talking about ochre and the 2 common materials. We need to search the 2 common materials used to obtain ochre. So we're going to search those 2 common materials. Okay, so the first question, artifacts which are mentioned that are the oldest. So look at the passage and see if you can find those artifacts which are the oldest. Okay. Yeah, carry on. Yeah, so yeah, beads bone tools. These are how old are they? 75,000-year-old rich deposits of artifacts. But when you're going to carry on, some engravings they date back far as 100,000 year. So it's asking us about the oldest artifacts. Okay, so which is the oldest artifact? Yeah, engravings. Okay, so engravings are the oldest artifacts over here. Okay, question number 2. What was that question? When was the material Hazelwood originally made? Okay, so when Hazelwood. Okay, now see where is Hazelwood in the passage. Uh, Okay, now I think there's a problem with the question over here. Okay, actually, Hazelwood is the name of a person. Yeah, so when was the material Hazelwood found? Okay, okay, he's talking about that material that which Hazelwood found. When did he Hazelwood the material which Hazelwood found? When was that material made? Okay, so first look for the material which Hazelwood found. And when did he find it? That's the second thing. Which material did Hazelwood find? Okay. And when was it found? Yeah, 100,000 years ago. Okay. So so basically, uh, uh, Henselwood, he found this discovery of a mixture which was rich in ochre. It was stored in these shells, and it dated back 100,000 years ago. It was found. It date back to 100,000 years ago. Okay. So that what was the material? It was basically an ochre material. It was a mixture. Okay, which was rich in ochre. Okay, let's go to question 3. So when the answer is 100,000 years ago. Okay. So the third, what two common materials did ancient humans use to obtain their ochre? Okay. So uh, in order to make their ochre, which two materials did they use? Okay. Yeah, they used area, but it was talking about which two materials. Two materials did they use? Okay, now, so the answer is actually they use basically earth and rock. So this is told in the definition over here that ochre is a term used to describe a piece of earth or rock which contains red or yellow oxides and hydroxides of iron. So leave this part containing, this is further explaining what it contains. But the two basic materials that ochre contains, or ochre is made from, basically is earth and rock. Okay. Okay, now let's continue. Okay. Now, uh, like in the previous 3 questions, they had underlined the subject, and they had underlined what were they asking about the subject. Similarly, in these 3 questions, uh, first of all, just like in the previous 3 questions, the textbook had already done it for us. They had made uh, the subject bold. In the same way, uh, find the subject, the main thing that it's asking about, and underline those areas. What is it asking about that subject? Okay. Okay. So yeah, that's right. Ochre mixture. Okay. But so the question is, what did the ancient people use to keep their ochre mixture in? So we're talking about ochre mixture, and we're talking also about ancient people and what they used to keep this mixture in. Okay, so ancient people, what did they ancient people use to keep the ochre mixture in? So ochre mixture is the main thing, and the second thing is about how ancient people stored it. Okay, so these are the two things. Okay, and the next question uh, is, nowadays who makes use of ochre? What is the main subject? What is the main thing that they're asking? What are they asking about? Yeah, they're asking about ochre. And what are they asking about ochre? Who who uses? Okay, so they're asking the use of ochre. So the main subject is ochre, and they're asking about the use of ochre. Who uses ochre? Okay, so this is just an exercise to break down the question quickly and go to the passage and find the answer. Okay, the 6. Okay, apart from painting, what else might ancient humans have used ochre for? So apart from painting, so so what are the main things they're asking over here? Yeah, uses of ochre. Yeah, uses of ochre. Other uses of ochre by ancient humans. Okay, use of ochre. That's what we're talking about. And other use of ochre, just to make it even shorter. Other uses of ochre by who? By ancient humans. Okay. So this is just how to just break down the question. Okay. So if we're going to answer these questions, um it's saying over here, then answer the question. So first, we were supposed to highlight. We highlighted the information and the details. We highlighted the details. Now the second thing is the thing that we are required to do is to answer these questions. The first question is, what did the ancient people use to keep their ochre mixture in? Does anybody remember? Okay, just I'll go back to the passage. Okay. Okay, look at the passage. Yeah, abalone shells. Okay. So these are basically shells, uh shells like you find like near on beaches. Okay, so they're basically two shells. So they used to keep this within these two abalone shells. It's a type of shell that's and it's called abalone. Okay, so abalone shells. So that's the answer. Okay, the next question is, who makes use of ochre nowadays? Nowadays, who makes use of ochre? Yes, indigenous communities, they make use of ochre. Okay, so okay, I'll just tell you 1 minute. So civilized communities, okay, or those communities that basically are naturally or native to a particular place, okay, they're basically from there. Okay, so indigenous people. If we're talking about indigenous people of Australia, the Aborigines are basically the indigenous people of Australia. Now, the other Australians that you see, they have migrated from somewhere else, so they are not the indigenous communities of Australia. Okay, so those communities that are native, like in Australia, we have these what the Aborigines. In the same way, in the America, we had the Red Indians. Okay, we had the Red Indians in America. Those were the indigenous communities or native communities now over there. Okay, and generally those communities, they are they adapt themselves with the passage of time to that terrain. So some people, if they're living in a cold place like Siberia, so there's a specific type of group of people that have been living over there from centuries or from a very long time. So they are the indigenous community. They're also used to that terrain, how to live there. They have adapted their lifestyle according to the terrain. Okay, according to the landscape. Okay, now uh, let's continue. Okay, now apart from painting, what else might ancient humans have used ochre for? Okay, so no, apart from painting, what other uses? What are the basic functions? This is a function. It's asking about the function, okay? What is a function apart from painting? No function. Well, what is the function? I mean, what is the usage? Huh? Skin decoration is one. We talked about that already. The other one, it's asking, skin protection. Okay, so skin protection is the other use. Okay, so if we go back to the question, uh, so painting was already in skin decoration, or that was, but the other use is skin protection. Okay. Okay, now let's continue over here. Yeah. One. Because it's saying apart from painting, it has already given you one answer. I mean, it's already telling you one thing. Okay? So it's asking you about the other thing that ancient humans have used ochre for. And it hasn't said that, mentioned more than one thing. It's the question is asking about what else might have they used it for. Okay, it could have asked if there were multiple uses. It would have used uses. So, and over there you will find only one more. Okay, so apart from painting, we had only skin protection. Okay, huh? Yeah, he also said this is also another restriction that we can't write more than 2 words. So that's why skin protection is 2 words. That's it. Okay, let's continue. Notes flowchart diagram completion. The question 3.1 all focus on paraphrase. Paraphrase is the use of different words with the same meaning. This helps to test how much of the reading passage you understand. Look again at question 4 to 6. For question 4, which words in the passage mean the same as keep in? Okay, so it's asking, okay, now let's okay, so one is keep in, the other is nowadays, and the third one is used for. So paraphrasing, generally they use synonyms. We've done this previously. So what word has the have they used in the passage for keep in? Has the writer used? Okay. Keep in. Yeah. Keep in, stored in. Okay. So, and the second one, do you remember? Uh, okay, let's go back. Yeah, nowadays. 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 Uh, yeah, the answer was indigenous communities, so instead of nowadays. No, nowadays. Indigenous does not mean modern. Nowadays, instead of nowadays, modern. Paraphrasing. Okay, and the same way, huh? No, it's actually it's only mentioned nowadays. Is you're talking about over here, modern indigenous community? Actually, we are supposed to be here because it's asking. The answer was here, remember? And the question points you to the answer. So it means the paraphrasing will be near the answer. Okay, so that's why it's modern is from here. Okay. So, for just 5-10 minutes. Okay, let's continue. And the third one, which was over here, uh, what was is it? Paraphrasing. Used for. Okay, so used for instead of used for, functioned in the passage was the paraphrased word or the synonym for used for. Okay, so let's continue now. Sentence completion. Questions also test your ability to find specific details or information in the passage. You must fill in the gaps in the sentence with appropriate words from the passage. The sentences will paraphrase the words and ideas. They also contain details that help you to find the part you need to read in detail. Okay, so this we're going to do in the next video. We're going to spend 30 seconds skimming this, and then we're going to complete these sentences. We're also going to search probably over here the paraphrase words for these underlined words, and we're going to inshallah do this tomorrow. Okay, so let's end this recording now.